to this now, and President Cyril Ramaphosa is to deliver the State of the Nation address on Thursday, spelling out his government's program of action and priorities for the year ahead. But if a stinging critique by the Thabo Mbeki Foundation of his much-vaunted South Africa Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan is anything to go by, Ramaphosa has much work to do in guiding the country to economic recovery. The foundation has issued its economic discussion document, which argues that the plan Ramaphosa presented last October is merely a vision and not the required transformative plan. Let's speak to a member of the Board of Trustees of the Thabo Mbeki Foundation. Dr. Vincent Maphai joins me now for that conversation. Dr. Maphai, I think let's start towards the end of your discussion document, where you say government and the country must accept that the SAERRP published on 15 October 2020 is essentially a vision and not the required transformative plan. Why is it not a plan when we actually need a plan to get us out of this economic situation we're in?
Thanks very much, and good afternoon to you. Still good morning to you and viewers. We call it a vision because a characteristic of a plan is that it is something that is ready for implementation. It must be detailed. It must be implementable. There must be timelines around it. You know, when a coach gives a game plan to his team, every player knows what to do in the next 45 minutes. You can't just inspire them. You need to say, how are we going to get the goals from which angles? And it is in that sense that relative to what was presented by business, the ANC plan is commendable, first in terms of the vision it tries to get, job creation, investment, attractions, key issues, growth, and it identifies development sectors, projects and initiatives. But what it is lacking there is how do we get this off the ground? Number two, this is a 10-year plan. You don't even know where this ruling party will be by then. It's a 10-year plan, and it has a complete plan from business, which is a 3-year plan, complete with what needs to be done, how needs to be done, how many jobs are going to be created. And it includes a commitment of of a trillion rand by business.
Yeah.
So basically, okay.
Just for clarity, Dr. Maphai, you make reference to a plan by business. This is the plan that was released by Business for South Africa. And part of the argument you make is that the fact that there are two plans that come from people who are supposedly partners in NEDLEC and are discussing a joint plan that is implementable. The fact that they have two different plans shows that there's no coordination. But it appears to me that you have preference of the Business for South Africa plan over the South Africa Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan. Why is that?
The reason I've already given you the first one, the first reason. One, the business plan commits itself to 10 years. To 3 years. The government plan to 10 years. Now, if your house is burning and you can get the fire brigades who can do it in 2 hours, you are not going to wait for one who can do it in 2 days. It's a no-brainer. The other one, it has clear commitments. The business is committing to what it is prepared to do. It has clear growth sectors. It has detailed deliverables. It is implementable. And the point we are making, there's no plan which has no flaws. But what we are saying is, if you have a 10-year plan, fine, if this is what you want. But why don't you incorporate into that 10-year the 3 years of your partner? You know, they are not strangers outside. They are partners who have been constantly being criticized for not investing in the country, for being disinterested and so on. And what business has done now was to put its head on the block to say this is what we are prepared to do. And when you read the two plans, the government one was released much later. It's as if they haven't even read the first plan.
Sure. And from that flows another conversation. From that last sentence you just said, Dr. Maphai, where you say when you read the government plan, which came much later in the year, around September, October, it's as if there was no reading of the previous plan from Business for South Africa. That leads me to another aspect you touch on, the issue around social compacting. President Cyril Ramaphosa is big on this, and we expect that even on Thursday in the State of the Nation address, that concept of social compacting, working together as social partners and a give and take really in various issues of the economy will feature high. You are saying that President Ramaphosa gave the impression that we were closer to attaining that social compact in NEDLAC, but as far as you can tell as the foundation, actually there's not even an agreement that the President alluded to in October last year.
Absolutely. Actually, the impression created, unless we read his speeches wrongly, was that there was a plan. But there isn't, absolutely. And for us, this is a central issue. Nothing is going to work in this government, especially in the area of the economy, until there is a functioning NEDLAC where these issues can be agreed to and implemented. And our sense is that unless there's something we are missing, the very fact that there are two plans, it means that there's no NEDLAC plan, or at least there's no plan arising out of NEDLAC consensus that is being there. And the sad thing is, until we have social compact, nothing is going to function. Despite rhetoric, despite all kinds of slogans, government cannot go this route alone. Business cannot go this route alone, nor can labor. And what we are simply saying now is the question of a social compact has become imperative. And until we have that, we are really getting nowhere. And of course, the leader of all the sections of the compact is government.
There's one aspect that I'd like to lift up of your critique, Dr. Maphai, around the issues of job creation. You make a lot around the targets set by the South Africa Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, that it targets 3.6 million jobs over 10 years, whereas the Business for South Africa plan talks about creating 1.5 million jobs over 3 years, a much shorter time. Are you suggesting that the SAERRP is not as ambitious as it should be, or perhaps unrealistic in terms of the number of jobs to be created over a much longer period?
Well, it is a bit of both. And again, I come back to the question I made earlier. If jobs can be created in 3 years, why do you wait for 10 years? Why don't you say, let's go on with the plan that can deliver in 3 years and we'll worry about the next 7 years? We are simply saying a choice between 10 years and 3 years, it's a no-brainer. And we cannot understand what is going on in government's mind. That's all we are saying. All right. We are not saying business plan is perfect, but you can only discover its flaws as you implement and move. The need at home is desperate, and we don't get that sense of agency on the part of government. And we are not the only one. Look at the statement that was released by COSAT yesterday. And we would endorse the bulk of what COSAT was saying, that now let us stop planning, let us implement. Don't forget, since about 2010 till today, there wasn't any plan that captured us that was pursued relentlessly. We have been consulting for 12 years. Can we continue this way? Consultation is good, but at the end of the day, somebody has to take a decision and say, this is the route we are going into, join the bus or remain behind. And that is the function of government. It's not a function of business or of labor.
All right, Dr. Vincent Maphai, thank you so much. He's a member of the Board of Trustees of the Thabo Mbeki Foundation. There, among the recommendations that they make for government going forward is that NEDLAC must reconvene and conclude what they're calling a strategic economic reconstruction and recovery plan that basically brings in the thinking of the many sectors and players within NEDLAC, and that this should be a 3-year plan as opposed to a 10-year plan, which is what the SAERRP appears to be.